Jokey on the track.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, the sexy and the not so sexy, big children and little. I'm the novelist, author, poet, Lamont Anthony Wright, aka Graffiti Bleu. Welcome to The Adventures of a Naive Poet, adventure number 3. Adventure number 3 is titled Hood Fame. I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole a little bit. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Let's get right to it. Basically, and so far in this series, I've given you certain adventures. I've given you perspective from a spoken word artist as from an MC. The reason why I'm doing all of this is to information share, to build infrastructure, right? To build infrastructure through testimony. What if we got a room full of the most brilliant artistic minds together and we just started having conversations? What if we just had conversations instead of trying to sell each other on how great we are individually? Why not gather collectively and become something even greater? I have been giving you this perspective through my own spoken word performance, but even though I curated and hosted many venues, I haven't really come to you guys in the form of a host. I haven't spoken to you like the curator of his own venue. We did some interviews. We spoke to Kilowatt Poet, dope conversation. We spoke to Moon Magic, dope conversation. And those are their own thing. That we take a break and we interview folks and get somebody's opinion outside of my own. Okay, good idea. But I wanted to give you a curator's perspective. You know, okay. Well, and I wanted to talk about hood fame. And to make the point that I ultimately am going to make, I need to take you the scenic route a little bit. So, my first taste of hood fame was when my man Vaughn brought me to the block. I was always a word nerd. I was never a thug. So, I grew up in the ghetto. So, growing up in the GH Eto, and you're a word nerd, it's hard to become famous. It's hard to become hood famous, you know what I mean? Because all of the hood famous guys are either selling crack rock or they got a wicked jump shot, right? Okay. So, Vaughn and the people that he ran with were already hood famous. For those of you who don't know, Vaughn is my brother from another mother.
You ever come to the hood, you good, don't ask what it's gonna be, Cause if I'm by your side, they'll ride, now put that all on me.
My New York partner and all of that good stuff, all right? Vaughn is already hood famous. Him and his brother Valman are DJing, and they've got a lot going on inside Southside Jamaica, Queens, all right? That area, that neighborhood of Southside Jamaica, Queens, at Foch Boulevard and 142nd Place at the time, kind of revolves around the music that they are playing in their backyard. There's a little freaking shed back there. and they just call it the clubhouse. Okay, they got it poppin'. Before the word poppin' was poppin'. Before the word lit was used in street slang. What word was? Maybe it was jumping? They had the party jumping? There's another word. But anyway, so since they were already hood famous, but for some miraculous reason, out of all of the steadily available MCs in Southside Jamaica, Queens, all right, that particular slice of Foch Boulevard did not have its own MC, did not have its own rapper that called their own, even though they were hood famous. Vaughn heard me freestyling in shop class. I could be wrong about that one. A lot of the past was fuzzy. And he brought me to the block. They were already famous before I got there. I just provided lyricism and insert. It was plug and play. Insert MC here, and we was off to the races. All of a sudden, I am hood famous just by affiliation. I don't realize the power I have until I hear my name, and people know my name more than they know my face. People are like, oh, I'm going to MC. I was Surge. My rap name was Surge, S-E-R-G, Suave Enhanced Rhyming Genius. And I would hear people say, yeah, I'm here to see Surge, or I'm here to listen to Surge on the mic. And I'm like, that's me. People knew my name, but didn't know my face. It was totally bizarre. I'm a word nerd from freaking Hollis and Far Rockaway from before that. So in Southside, I'm like this known guy. Totally blew my mind. I will make my point here in a moment. Okay. So, flash forward, some time passes. A lot of time passes, okay? And I remember how that felt, and I remember how the people treated me when I was hood famous. Well, I would be hood famous or have name recognition a couple more times when I was then reborn into Graffiti Bleu. You know, a lot of people knew the name Graffiti Bleu and did not necessarily know me. They knew the brand Graffiti Bleu or Rhythm and Poetry, the spot that I curated, even though they did not know what I looked like. They knew what that logo looked like, though. Perhaps it was a genius of my marketers at the time. Perhaps it was the fact that on the East Coast it was centrally located in downtown Atlanta at Cat's Cafe. Cat was already known, and I was just running a venue out of a spot that was already established, but it was hood fame. Now, the reason why I talk about hood fame is because hood fame, regardless on how you get it, whether it's talent, whether it's affiliation or whatever, hood fame has a lot of parallels to today's clout chasing. They're similar but different, okay? People can people can be jealous if they feel you've got that hood fame. Okay? You may have earned that hood fame through hard work or God-given ability. You may have gotten to that hood fame through affiliation or just blind luck. Clout and clout chasing is about the same but different. Clout or clout chasing, right, is kind of more of a hollow thing where you might just be known for just the fact that you're known, and I see a lot of people kind of doing that. And every generation has its thing. So I'm not here to throw stones at a glass house and just be like, everybody who's on Instagram taking 10 selfies a day just to be relative in the thread. If that's your deal, that's your deal. If you're a model, you express yourself how you want. If you play the piano, express yourself, use social media to how you see fit. I'm not here to throw stones at anybody, okay? What I will say is this particular adventure of a naive poet, Adventure 3, is more of a cautionary tale to spoken word artists, artists of all kinds, and hosts and curators of their own venues. Sidebar. I've said this before on this podcast, that my naive notion about hood fame was that it was not that serious. However, if you should find yourself being hood famous and you do not take that very seriously, it certainly doesn't mean that the people who see you through the lens of hood fame will do the same. Especially when you are constantly surrounded by people who don't have the courage to step out on their own and go for what they know. Yet still, they constantly look to exploit you. Exploit your brand or your situation to gain an advantage for themselves. For example, I had a business partner wanting to split everything 50-50, which is fine. But it wasn't fine no more after I showed receipts. The reality was they wanted a 50% split of a business where they did not split 50% of the startup cost. Let me break this down. Making the website upgrade to sell tickets to the venue, getting a sound system for the venue, producing banners and graphics for the venue, having a social media campaign promoting the venue, and hiring somebody to run the door that won't rob you, all cost $10,000 of my own money to start the West Coast Rhythm and Poetry. So to get 50% of the nightly take-in, one would have to give me $5,000 up front. But when folks are looking at you through the lens of hood fame, they don't see your sacrifices. They see the bright lights and they see their own entitlements. Which brings me to my naive notion. My naive notion about hood fame / clout and or clout chasing was that it's not that serious. To me, hood fame is not that serious. It felt great to have a name, and even today, I've got some name recognition in some poetry circles, but I mean, I'm not shutting them all down, right? Okay. But what I didn't think it was, my naive notion was that it was not that serious. But that's what was naive about it, because to many people, hood fame, clout, hood fame / clout is very serious. Is amazingly serious. And a lot of people would do a lot of grimy things to be famous, hood famous, or have clout. And i.e., they would chase that clout and do some pretty scandalous-ish just in the pursuit of it. A couple of examples I will give you. A lot of times as a curator, I was thinking people were being sincere, like people were really coming there to necessarily enjoy the art of a particular artist, a particular poet. Maybe it was feeling a particular showcase or something like that. When in reality, there was a good section of people that were there for the clout of just wanting to be there. Okay? There were a couple people there that just wanted to stand next to me, and they only stood next to me when the cameras were on. Some people would even go as far as to maybe hijack photos that were taken at the venue that I took personally myself and then used them for advertisement. They would snatch them off of social media and stamp their brand on them and re-put them back out. You're a clout chaser, clout chaser. She's a CC. CC, clout chasing. Sidebar number 2. Hood fame will have cats counting your pockets. Many of the nights of rhythm and poetry had just enough people in attendance to pay for the lease. Cool. The way I saw it, if the art pays for itself, I did my job. However, that is not how many of the people saw it. Again, looking through the lens of hood fame, in their eyes, you are balling out of control. If the thugs come through on a feature night and it is packed and you are charging $20 at the door, they are looking at you like you're food. They don't see that you had to pay the feature. They don't see that you are trying to get your 10 grand back. They don't see the cost you paid to lease a place every month. All they see is the hood fame and the cash at the door. All right? Now, it gets even deeper than that. Let's say you're a curator and you want to bring somebody from out of town, and they the man out of town, or they are the woman out of town. They are a big deal out of town. You better research that before they get to your town. I have had people booked and contracts signed for people to come from out of town into my town because their optics looked good, but it was only the optics. Live, they was crap. Some people had the clout on paper, or they had the catalog, right? You know, they want to charge me an arm and a leg to come to rhythm and poetry. And naive, I'm like, well, how could they charge that much and not be good? It's kind of, this is a Kanye West price right here. Okay, let's give you a shot. And the money that I paid to have this particular person showcase did not reflect this person. For what they charged me, they did not put asses in the seats. I did my research. Everybody that I knew of this guy. And they told me this guy was the guy. But were they looking at the same optics I was looking at? Because I was fooled too. So before I paid the Kanye price, I freaking researched, and the circle and outside of the circle was just like, this is the freaking guy. Okay, got that guy at the Kanye price. Let's go. And he was not a draw. I'm pissed. I'm just like, it was a learning lesson. Now, to be clear, I would not have spent any money when I spend money like that, I don't part with anything that I couldn't stand to lose. Being a businessman is like being a gambler. If you can't afford to gamble the house, then don't take the house to the table. So you leave the freaking mortgage note in the hotel room. You take out what you're going to spend that night. You be like, okay, I got this 500 stack or 1,000 stack. I'm going to take this to the roulette table. And if I run out of this, I'm done. If I double this, I'm done. But you don't take the freaking mortgage to the table. So when I got, let's just call him Kanye. When I got Kanye on stage, I did not spend anything I thought that I wasn't willing to part with. It would have been nice had I made my money back, or I would have gotten equal value. But he didn't put one butt in the seat. So don't be fooled by hood fame. The whole narrative of this is that be careful who stands next to you, because they might just be there because the cameras are on. All right. Be careful of who you're getting to hire, because they just may have their own cameras on them, making it look like they're hot when they're not. Be careful of the seduction of hood fame. Okay. You might not think it's not that serious. And it might not be that serious to you, but it may be very serious to somebody else. Okay? Fame is a freaking very powerful drug, man. You know what I mean? It really is. And at the end of the day, the good Lord actually has shown me a better thing to obsess over, you know, and really the validation of others and all of that and everything that comes with that. I'm not going to act like it's not very gratifying for people to feel you. It really is. For somebody to take your art and be moved by it, it's a very amazing thing. To be acknowledged as one of those women or one of those guys, she is one of them, she's special, or he's fucking fire, watch out for him. That has to be, and it is, because I've experienced that is a dope freaking feeling. But it's not the end all. It's just not the end all. Sidebar number 3. Every night after we closed, the closing had a certain anxiety with it. Here I am by myself with the earnings of the night in the bag. I never knew when someone was going to step out of the shadows and blow your freaking head off for a couple of dollars. I started having someone I trusted pick up the money long before we closed. I started carrying a pistol every time I locked up for the night. I was encouraging people to buy tickets online more so that there would be less cash at the door. But in reality, a thug would not know that. A thug would try you just to try you. This is the part of the game behind the fame. This is the part of your life that people don't see. This is the karma that comes with success. I share podcasts, vlogs, and blogs like this to put you guys up on game. Hopefully this information is useful. But even if it is not, I wanted to share this. At the end of the day, especially when it comes to my people of all shades of brown, there is a crisis. We have no agenda. We have no goal. We have no plan on how to bring us together. You ask any shade of brown what needs to be done, and the majority of them will tell you we need to get together. But we don't. Okay, so why don't we use conversations like this one about art to bridge the gap? Let's leave clout chasing and hood fame over here, and let's bring in something a bit more real. That's all I've got to say.